They say one man's trash is another man's treasure, and that's the beauty of video game reviews. That's why I'm doing this video today, to explain what I look for when I do a video game review, because if you know a bit more about what I think and what I look for, then maybe you'll know whether or not I am the right reviewer for you. I am Simon, I run Higher Plane Games, and I thought this would be an interesting video to make, just to kind of lay the groundwork for the types of things I look for in a video game review, because it takes a while sometimes to kind of build up that trust with someone so that you can kind of go, yeah, okay, I kind of see where they're going with that opinion. And for some people, it will kind of mean, I don't really agree with anything that he says, and then you can disregard everything I have to say. We all win. So for me, it's not necessarily about graphics. It is sometimes about gameplay, but it's always for me about the feeling that the game evokes. And that's different depending on the type of game and how they go about it. But it all culminates together so that it builds this picture to give me an emotional feeling or stance or vibe throughout the experience. And that can be joy, it can be wonderment, it can be laughter, it can be tension, it can be bawling the eyes out because the story was so good. It just really just depends on the type of game that it's going for, but always at the core of everything that I look for when I do a video game review, has it affected me emotionally? And if that emotion is boredom, those are the games that I will normally go to town on the most and be most critical about, and I will try and pick apart why it's left me bored and unengaged. Now, how a game goes around that might be completely different depending on the type of genre or the way how it's been built. So for me, whilst graphics can be important, so long as I can kind of see where I'm going and what I'm doing, they aren't the be-all and end-all for me. So you won't see me like waxing lyrical over graphics. I do, though, quite like highly stylized stuff. I do enjoy low poly environments. I do enjoy anything that does really well with color palettes. So like Gris is a fantastic example of that. Journey, the way how it builds everything up around it and the world around it. It's almost like the graphics can then become an extension of itself and become a character. And that's how that then hooks me in emotionally, so that I'm like, oh, okay, I'm with you now. It doesn't need to be awe-inspiring set pieces, although if a big AAA game is going to go that route, it needs to do it in a way where the world feels like a character and it feels lived in. So Horizon Zero Dawn does that very, very well with the way how it builds up the world and the environment around you. Uncharted does very good versions of that, but maybe some of the Assassin's Creed games, some of them do the environments better than others. So say like Origins, I was there in Egypt and I really felt like I was part of it, whereas some of the earlier ones felt a little bit cookie cutter, cut and paste for me, maybe because I was less engaged in the time period that it was in. That being said, graphics are fine. It's around the character that is built up around those graphics, and that can also be transferred into the characters themselves. So again, speaking of Journey, that whole world and environment was the character and I was pushing towards it. Whereas if I think of Life is Strange Season 1, it's not just the world of Arcadia Bay, but it's also all of the individual characters that were there, and how much I used to love to hate Chloe and then hate to love her at the same time. And I was projecting myself into Max, so it felt like I was me. There are other games that do that very, very well as well. Obviously the Telltale series manipulates you emotionally, but then you feel something because of it, normally existential dread. So really good character design can help that. And then when you take that into RPGs as well, because you spend so many hours with those characters, they need to keep coming up with new and inventive ways of keeping you held. So some of the Final Fantasy games do that exceptionally well. The Shadow Heart series really, really struck a chord with me because everyone was hyper cartoon characterization wise, and that made it really, really enjoyable and immersive to play. And yeah, there's different ways how you can go about that. The other way how you can evoke an emotion is through the actual gameplay itself, and that's where you could argue is the kind of strong point. And that's why I think I really enjoy local multiplayer experiences so much, and party games and things like that, because you can get a variety of people in a room all together. And I still argue that local multiplayer beats out online multiplayer often, because there is nothing about bouncing that emotion off of each other. If you're doing like Mario Kart or Jackbox Party Pack games and things like that, and just you go from extreme hilarity to frustration to laughter to one up each other. And board games do this very well as well. Some of the board games that a lot of my mates have gone into, I feel have got a really high bar of not expertise, but you need to learn so much to get there. And I think that's why I really enjoy quite a lot of local multiplayer experiences that are quite quick to pick up, like the Bishi Bashi Special series and stuff like that. That is where character plus gameplay just collide into an explosion of craziness and stupidity. And that's where I get quite a lot of my balmy stuff from. So the Katamari games, Parappa. I love a rhythm action game. I do music as a side project in my spare time, and I run higherplanemusic.com, which is a huge website that I post daily music reviews. So that's where the rhythm element comes in, and that's also why I'm quite sensitive to soundtrack scores, because I buy them separately from games anyway. So music, I would probably say, ranks slightly higher for me than it would do maybe for a few other reviewers as well. So just to kind of warn you in advance about that, I will wax lyrical over a soundtrack if I can get away with it. But again, that's sound, that's gameplay, it's graphics, all colliding together to provide that feeling. If I'm going to be critical about a game, it's very rare that I will rip it to absolute shreds, because again, most games will have some kind of redeeming quality, or it might just be that the execution doesn't work for me. I'm quite sensitive to games that want to portray themselves in one light and then do something different. So for an example for that is if you're going to be a kids kart racer game, but then your controls are really, really sluggish. And I just think, well, a child's not going to understand that, and they're just going to get really frustrated that they're going to be smashing into barriers because the car don't turn. Things like that really frustrate me over, say, like clipping graphics and things like that. I think game bugs are annoying, but kind of necessary. It depends if something's shipped completely broken or not. I do think early access titles are 50-50. It really depends. You're betting on an idea, and the idea is what you think it is, not what the developer thinks it is. So although I do some reviews on that, a lot of it is done with a pinch of salt, and I will review it as it is at that time. And I won't be like, I can see that this is going to be a great concept, because you're parting with your money at that time. And I think you should be aware of what you're getting, because the amount of people that will pull away and then you'll go, oh, is far too high. But yeah, the main thing for me is what feeling does something evoke? And if it's joy, if it's sadness, if it's frustration, if it's boredom, I will tell you. And that's kind of where my basis will come from. I don't score my video reviews at all. I will probably be scoring my game reviews when they're written on higherplanegames.com. That site, launching in 2020, February, will probably explain a lot more nuance to compared to some of the stuff that I do on the video format. The videos I do as a one-take ramble. I don't do a script for it, because I want to talk about how it emotionally moves me, and I'm much better at doing that when I'm free-flowing rather than like I'm going to robotically talk about something in a script. So that might appeal to some people, it might put some people off. So I hope that was informative. Please do leave any comments down below. So yeah, take care and happy gaming. Bye. Higher Plane Games is part of the Higher Plane Network, a collection of media projects ran by me. If you like what you see and want to find out more, visit patreon.com/Higher Plane Network. Your support can make so much more possible. be that a like, a comment, a share, or a pledge. Thanks for watching.